Hello everyone, this is Miss Swathi. So today is my day 7 training. So let's move on to the question. The first question is create a document on waterfall model and explain each phase in your own words. So first, let me tell you first what is a waterfall model. So here, waterfall model is the first process model. Like it is the first model in the software development life cycle. So it is also referred as a linear sequential phase. Linear sequential phase is nothing but first any phase in the development process. It begins only if the first previous phase is complete. So without completing the first phase, we cannot move or jump into the next phase. So that's why the waterfall model was introduced. And the phases are, so this is the waterfall model. Here the first phase is requirement analysis. Here the like all possible requirements of the system is to be developed. Like the developer should gather all the requirements and documents so that they can process further for the requirement purpose. And the next phase is the system design. So here it helps to helps in specifying the hardware and helps in defining the overall system architecture for the designing purpose. So architecture is nothing but a block or something else, something which we used for designing purpose. And the next is the implementation phase. Here. With inputs from the system design. The system first develops a small program. That means the developer first develops a small program that should be tested and verified for the for the functionality purpose, which is also known as the unit testing. So the next phase is testing. Testing and integration also can be called. So here in this phase, the all the unit developed in the implementation, which have said the small code which is done in the implementation part, that is first tested. That is the entire system is tested for any faults or failure is done. So that's why the testing part has introduced. And next phase is deployment. Deployment here, once the functionality or non-functional testing is done, then the product is deployed or placed. Deployment means nothing but placed in the customer environment or released in the market. So first, the product is after testing the product, the product is checked whether all the functional and non-functional part is tested. Then the Hmm, product is deployed to the customer environment. And the next phase is maintenance. Here it is to enhance or product with some better version that are to be released. So maintenance is done to deliver some changes in the customer environments. So let's move on to the next question. Um Create a document on V model and explain each phase in your own words. So V model, here you can see the developer's life cycle and the tester's life cycle in the V model. And in the developer's life cycle, verification phase is done, and in the tester's life cycle, validation phase is done. So V model is nothing but it is also referred as like verification and validation model. So in this each phase of software development life cycle, uh, that must be completed before the next phase begins. So as I said in the waterfall model, same thing is carried to the V model, that we have to finish the first phase. After that only we can go or jump to the next phase. Without completing the first phase, we cannot move to the next phase. So, what is verification phase means? It is the process of evaluating of something like product development process. In the validation phase, it is the process to break down the software after the completion of the development process. So here in the first phase in the developer's life cycle is business requirement specification. So the analysis is done in this part. That is, it is the first step where product requirement understood from the customer side. So here the detailed information is given to the customer that they should understand the expectation and the exact requirement. So here the next phase of the developer's life cycle is the system requirement specification or system design. So in this stage, the system engineers study and explain the business needs for the documentation. And the next is high level design or the architecture design. Here it is a block or in which the product is developed in high level. So the next is a low level design or nothing but module design. Here the system breaks down into small modules. That is nothing but the design is done in the low level specification. And the next is the coding part. Here coding part is nothing but it is equal to developers and testers life cycle. So it is done by the developers, also done by the testers. So it is verified by the testers. So here the coding phase is nothing but after designing the coding phase is started. So here the developer decide to give some suitable programming language to be coded. The next is a unit testing. So here unit testing is the first phase from the tester's life cycle. Here validation phase is done. So in unit testing, it is developed during the module design phase. Nothing that is nothing but low after designing the low level design. That means the product is designed in a low level. Um, Here unit testing is nothing but to eliminate some errors or delete at code level only. So unit testing was introduced. And component testing or system testing is here in the system testing or component testing. Here some plans are developed during the designing phase. uh, so here the test plans are collected by the clients, and so here the system test make sure that expectations from an app developer or application developer are met. So let's move to the next phase, that is system integration phase or integration testing. So here some plans are developed during architectural phase, that is architectural design or high level design, which were the product was designed in a high level, and here the codes are tested and verified by the individual, and they communicate with themselves. So here integrate system integration testing is introduced. So here what happens when the developers or testers decide themselves to which testing should be done. So only they communicate themselves. And next the final phase is acceptance testing in the tester's life cycle. So here what happens when the business requirement it includes testing the software product in user environment. So let's move to the next question, that is third, create a detailed document on agile methodology. So here the first phase is requirements definition and analysis of concepts. So here what happens? It determines the current state and expectation, like it records some requirements in this phase. And the next phase is the planning of sprints. Here what happens, here it arranges some teams and some tools are required to improve or develop some production. So the next phase is collaborative design development. Here from the beginning of the process, there is some critical or crucial part situation acquired from the end users. So like this, it involvements and feedbacks also have some critical part or critical situations. The next phase is create and implement. Here what happens here, the feedback on testing and some changes are very as I said in the collaborative design development, here also it is very crucial or critical. So there is continuous development are delivered through sprints are nothing but the time box periods, like 1 week to 1 month. The work is done to create new features based on the user stories. And the final thing is review and monitor. So here what happens, here make we have to make sure that by reviewing and monitoring some work that should be very successful after doing all this process. So that's all for today. Thank you so much.